Hi, I'm Christian Brindle, and welcome to the Everything Medicare Podcast. What's up, Everything Medicare Podcast Nation? This is Christian Brindle. Welcome to episode 122, I think. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are and however you may be listening. Every single week, we bring you 3 podcast episodes where we discuss your Medicare, your Medicaid, your Social Security, and everything that has to do with that golden age called retirement. If you're unfamiliar with me, folks, I'm a person that owns a company that works with people on Medicare just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah. We work with people in 5 states at the moment. We're always adding more. We partner with some of the largest insurance companies in the industry to help people sort through their options to help find a fit based on their needs and preferences. And every single week, we bring you 3 episodes, like I mentioned, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays, where we give free information, free tips on this show on what you can do to avoid certain things and certain mistakes on your Medicare. I've published 2 books on the topic of Medicare, and I've seen a lot. I've worked with a lot of people. I've seen almost every single situation. But no matter how long I do this, and no matter how much information we put out, I always find that we never reach enough people. And the reason I say that is because there are literally tens of millions, there might even be at this point 100 million people in the United States of America that are on Medicare. If not 100 million, it's getting close. Haven't looked at the number for some time. But no matter how long we do this, folks, no matter how long we put out information, there's no way we're going to be able to reach everybody. But my intention is to be able to reach as many people as possible. And one situation that I see come up more often than I'd like to admit is people missing their Medicare windows, Medicare deadlines. And I'm not particularly talking about the Medicare enrollment period even. The Medicare enrollment period, which goes from October 15th through December 7th, is primarily based on people that already have Medicare, Parts A and Part B, that want to change their Medicare Advantage plans and or their prescription drug plans, or change to a Medicare Advantage plan from something like a Medicare supplement with original Medicare, or vice versa, go from a Medicare Advantage plan to a Medicare supplement with original Medicare and a drug plan. A lot of people think that, the Medicare enrollment period from October 15th through December 7th is primarily for people to get on Medicare for the first time. And it's not the case. We have that question come up pretty frequently here in our offices, and so I thought it would be a good idea to make an episode about it particularly. When someone turns 65 years of age is when they first become eligible for Medicare. Typically 90 days before the month you turn 65. So for me, for example, let's say I was going to turn 65 next year. I'm not even 30 yet, but I will get there. But let's just say for the sake of example, that we get in our time machine here and we go forward in the future, assuming that Medicare is still around when I'm of age. And I am going to be turning 65. Now, my birthday is in August 13th. Medicare always starts on the first of your birth month, unless your birthday happens to be on the first, and to which point it starts a month sooner. Don't ask me why they do that. They just do. So if my birthday was on August 1st, my Medicare would start July 1st, a month sooner. But it's a very big misconception that people think that Medicare doesn't start until my actual birthday. So people would have the misconception that on my birthday, August 13th, I wouldn't get my Medicare until that day. Not necessarily the case ever. Your Medicare A and B is going to start on the first of your birth month. So in my case, it would be August 1st if I was turning 65. I become eligible to enroll into Medicare Parts A and B 90 days before August 1st. So 90 days before August 1st is May, I believe. Yeah. So May would be my open window. May 1st, 90 days before. Now, typically, you have a total of a 7-month window when you first turn 65 to get onto Medicare. Now, if you're getting onto Medicare down the road, let's say you postponed your Medicare Part B, and we've done episodes about that due to working, and you have credible coverage through your work, the window is different. I'm primarily, for a second, only going to be talking about the people that are turning 65 years of age. But typically, people have a 7-month window surrounding their 65th birthday. So they have 3 months before their birth month, their actual birth month, and 3 months after. So it's a total of 7 months on which you can get onto your Medicare Parts A and Part B. But what if you miss that time period? Now, this is not necessarily a certain time of the year when your time period will be. Like I said, it's based on what month of the year that your birthday falls into. So, what if someone misses that 7-month window? What happens to them? Well, it's kind of an interesting process, and I thought that it'd be a great time to talk about it. Now, let's say in that case they missed the window. Could they just get on in October? October 15th through December 7th, the Medicare enrollment period? No! 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 Remember what I said at the beginning of this episode. The Medicare enrollment period, October 15th through December 7th, only applies to you if you already have Medicare and you want to change something that involves your Medicare Advantage plan and or your Medicare prescription drug plan. That's it, folks. All of the marketing, all of the advertising fail to run home that huge point. It only applies if you are already on Medicare. So when can you get your A and B at that point? You might have heard a horror story. Maybe you had a friend, a neighbor, a family member who didn't take their Medicare on time, right? And they ended up having to wait. And sometimes you hear stories where I had to wait a year. I had to wait a year and a half. And why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you after we take a break and hear from this week's sponsor. Don't go anywhere. In segment 2, I will tell you when you can get on if you fall into the situation. Stay right there. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
What's up, everybody? This is actually Randy W. Hall, Mr. Nice Guy Medicare Advisor, not Christian Brindle, your esteemed host. I'm here to tell you about my Medicare agency, Mr. Nice Guy Medicare Advisor, based here in Tennessee. For the past 10 years, I've been helping Medicare beneficiaries just like you in Tennessee and Kentucky maximize their Medicare. If you're a regular listener of this podcast, you know Christian always encourages you to deal with a broker in your state who sells all the different plans and will give you not just a quote, but also advise you and educate you in a way that is simple to understand. We know how confusing and overwhelming the whole process can be. We do it all for folks on Medicare, from supplements to Advantage plans, Part D, cancer products, hospital indemnities, and more. So if you want to get a free quote or a consultation, I urge you to call 615-578-5174. Again, that's area code 615-578-5174. Or for more information, you can visit my website and read all about me at MrNiceGuyMedicareAdvisor.com. That's all one word, MrNiceGuyMedicareAdvisor.com. And again, why deal with a jerk when you can deal with a nice guy?
Welcome back, everybody. This is Christian Brindle, and this is segment 2 of 3 of this episode of the Everything Medicare Podcast. Thanks for so much for sticking with us through that little break we had, and thank you for that message from Randy W. Hall, the Mr. Nice Guy Medicare Advisor. Let's get back into this topic. So, when can you enroll in Medicare if you missed that 7-month window? They call that your initial election period. In the Medicare world, it stands for IEP for short, your 7-month window. 3 months before the month you turn 65, the month you turn 65, and 3 months after. Now, if you are working, and let's say you took Part A at 65, which I always typically recommend, and you postponed Medicare Part B, and you decided to take it later because you were working, and you had credible coverage through your work. That's the key here. If you have credible coverage through a current employer, if it's a retiree plan, you can't take Medicare without a penalty. But you are able to get on Part B at that point at any time if you so choose to, because you can postpone your Medicare Part B without any penalties. And we've done episodes in the past about penalties. We're not going to talk about that a whole lot in this episode. That person doesn't have necessarily a 7-month window to get Part B. They typically have 90 days before their group plan is going to end to get their Medicare Part B. So in that person's case, they're in kind of a different situation, although there are exceptions to every rule. But that's a different story for another day. So let's say you're turning 65, you missed your window. You just didn't understand. You thought that you would automatically be enrolled. It's a common misconception. Your neighbor, let's say, automatically got enrolled in their A and B and you didn't. Why is that? Well, if you're drawing off of your Social Security benefits, your monthly benefits, then you're automatically enrolled into A and B when you turn 65. If you, of course, you have the working credits. But if you're not drawing off Social Security, let's say you're waiting until 66 or 67 or 70 to draw off of your monthly Social Security benefits, then you won't automatically be enrolled and you have to enroll yourself. It's a common misconception. People sometimes don't realize it. They have busy lives. They don't even think about it. And then before they know it, it's too late. That's typically the most common occurrence that I run into in this particular situation. So, when is it that you can actually enroll? Well, they have something called a general election period to get onto Medicare in that case. That general election period is from January 1st to March 31st. Okay? So let's say you missed the deadline and your deadline closes, let's say, in March of a given year, right? And you don't realize till May or something like that, or April, that you don't have your Medicare. At that point, it's too late. You're going to have to wait till January of the following year to enroll. But you can submit this enrollment anywhere between January 1st to March 31st, like I said. However, if you do this, even if you do it on the 1st of January, the first day that you're eligible to do so, your Medicare Part B, A and B, depending on your situation, whichever one you didn't take, your Medicare will not start until July 1st. So you could be looking at a situation where you can go a very, very, very lengthy amount of time without your Medicare. Now, keep in mind that all this time period that you went without Medicare, unless you're working and have credible coverage through an employer, which at that point this wouldn't apply to you anyway because you'd have a special life-changing election period on which you could get on your Medicare Part B. But let's say you're not working, or you're retired, or you don't have coverage through your work, whatever the case might be, and you just missed the deadline, right? You just didn't understand that you had to enroll. You didn't understand you had a time period for it. You could be facing a very long time without your Medicare. And all that time period you went without your Medicare, don't get it twisted, you'll have a late enrollment penalty tacked onto it. And you apply for the coverage from January to March, but it will not take effect until July 1st. So make sure that if you're coming up, make sure that if you know somebody that's coming up to being eligible for Medicare, and it's something that they're going to have to do, don't wait, and don't let your friends and family wait, because waiting has consequences, and the government typically does not give a damn about your sob story. Now, are there exceptions to this? Yes. I have seen people been able to, because the Social Security Administration is able to, well, the Social Security Administration, is responsible for issuing Medicare, right? They process Medicare enrollment applications. I have seen people over the years, now this is few and far between, and you didn't hear this from me, but I have seen people that will call up Social Security, or they'll go into their local office and they'll just give them a hell of a sob story. And I've seen sometimes them make exceptions to this rule, but I'd say it's 1 out of 100, if not fewer than that. Don't count on that. Just make sure that you don't miss the deadline, because chances are you're going to be stuck and you're not going to be able to get your Medicare till July of the next year. And that's only if you enroll during January to March of the following year. Okay. Let's take a break. Don't go anywhere. I have some final thoughts on this topic after we hear from this week's sponsor. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Talk to you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. This is our third and final segment of this episode of the Everything Medicare Podcast. This topic, there's not a whole lot to say, so this is shorter than our normal scheduled program, folks. It's simple. You have 7 months. 3 months before the month you turn 65, the month you turn 65, and 3 months after. Don't miss it. Don't miss it, because if you do, you're going to be put in a situation where you're going to have to wait, and you're going to incur penalties while you wait. So make sure that you're in a situation that you're not going to be missing that deadline. Make it a priority. I've done episodes in the past where we talked about the easiest way to enroll when you're turning 65. You can do it online. You can do it in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You don't necessarily have to go into the Social Security office to do it. Now, some people do. Some people have extenuating circumstances where they don't have the working credits. They have to draw off their spouses, etc., etc. They need to show proof that they're married and all this other stuff. I've seen situations where they can't do it online. It's not even an option because they have such a strange circumstance. But for 99% of the people that are listening to this, you're going to be able to just enroll yourself online, and it's very, very simple. Just take some time. Take half an hour, 45 minutes out of your day in some evening. Pour yourself a glass of wine, sip it, put on some music, just get it done. Get it done. Get it done. And then you don't have to worry about it anymore. Once you're enrolled into Medicare, you don't have to worry about it anymore, as long as the premiums are paid, of course. But it's not like it's something you have to enroll into every year. This isn't the Affordable Care Act plan, folks, where every year you have to re-enroll into the plans. Once you've done it, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Now, as far as Medicare supplemental plans, Advantage plans, drug plans, do you have to revisit those and just touch base with them, especially if they go through changes? Yeah. Medicare supplement plans don't change, but Advantage plans and drug plans do. But the A and B part is the most extenuating and the most excruciating to go through. For some people. Some people just, it's a breeze. It just depends on your situation. But since Social Security is involved in processing and issuing Medicare, it's always going to be a little tricky. Thanks so much for watching, folks. Medicare enrollment period is still going on. If you live in the states of Utah, Texas, Idaho, Oregon, or Florida, again, that's Utah, Texas, Oregon, Idaho, and or Florida, and you're just not sure if what you have on your Medicare is the best thing for you, you'd like to revisit it, you'd like to compare it, call my office. Me and my organization would love the chance to be able to help you. Our number is 801-255-5340, 801-255-5340. We work with all of the biggest insurance companies in the Medicare industry. We can compare your options. We can see, based on your specific location, if there's a better plan available, and I can give you my recommendation on my experiences. I've worked with all these companies for some time. There's stuff you need to know that you can't read in a brochure. You need that personal service. And my organization would love to be able to give that to you. We don't cost anything, no charge, no obligation. So even if you just wanted to call and check and see if you can do any better, that's perfectly fine. Thanks so much for listening, folks. I hope you're having a great day. I hope you're having a great week. Thanksgiving is on the way. We'll probably do a special episode for that. Folks, we're always taking requests on problems and questions and maybe even situations that you might be going through. I'm always love to hear from you wherever you are on the different things that you're dealing with and struggling with right now, and we can maybe do an episode about it that could be helpful. Shoot me an email with your requests at Christian B, CHRISTIAN, B as in boy, Christian B at xmission.com. The letter X and then the word mission, MISSION.com. Shoot me an email with your requests. If we get enough requests on a certain topic, we might just do an episode about it, and we could just very well answer your questions and solve a problem for you without you even having to talk to me. Thank you, folks. I really appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate your listening. Have a great day. We'll be back with you Saturday. Take care.